So, I just finished this painting back here, a coyote looking over a sunset landscape, horizon, skyline, and it got me thinking about one thing in particular. Since we were on the topic of color, that was my last video, it got me thinking about how color can really save you a lot of headache, a lot of time, a lot of frustration, and it got me thinking about the importance of color overall. So when we go to art galleries or museums or any place to look at beautiful art, it doesn't matter whether we're looking at abstract or impressionism or realism. The details of the paintings really don't matter if you think about it. It's the color that pleases our eyes, that pleases our minds. If the color is correct, the painting appears to be good to us. And so whatever you're doing, whether that's very detailed work or not very detailed work, as long as the color is correct, we have a beautiful painting, right? After all, a painting is really just that, color pigments smeared over a canvas or thing that we hang on the wall. It's just color. And so when I got to work on this painting back here, when I started it in the beginning, I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to make sure that no matter what I do, the color is going to be correct right from the start. And I'm going to see how quick that's going to speed up the process of the painting. So I started this painting on Sunday, and on Tuesday morning, I believe it was Tuesday morning, whatever, about 48 hours. And granted, I spent a lot of time on this painting in between, but in about 48 hours time, I brought this painting from start to finish to a beautiful result that I'm extremely happy with. And the one thing that I focused on was making sure that I had that correct color from the very first brush stroke. And once I had that initial layer of color down, the whole process was just a breeze. So that brings me to the tip which I wanted to share with you guys today, which is, of course, to get your color correct the first time and how to do that. You know, I think a part of us all, many of us artists anyways, we want to be the artist that can just look at something and paint it beautifully without having to use different types of aids or tools. Like, we want to be that artist that can just do it, right? And there's some sort of internal ego that I'm sure a lot of us struggle with, where we just resist using the tools that we have available with modern technology, digital cameras, all these sorts of things. And it sends us down this rabbit hole, like wanting to do it a very noble and honorable way, but being just a little bit off cue. And the more off cue we are, the more we go down that rabbit hole, the more off cue we become. And pretty soon, 6 months later, we're still struggling with color and trying to get it correct in our artwork. You know, football players don't get good by just going out and playing football games. They have to use aids and tools and equipment to train themselves outside of the actual playing field. And they use modern technology, just like anything in the world, to train our bodies to do something really great. And when it comes to artwork, it's kind of the same thing, or at least it's a really great way to think about it in the same way. So I'm going to show you the tools real quick, and we're going to walk through this painting of how you can get that color and train your mind to mix the color accurately before you get started into a painting. And really, that even sounds like I'm overcomplicating it. It's just very simple. There's just a couple things we can do to make sure that we're training our minds to get the color correct. And of course, that kind of goes back to the importance of reference photos. But what many of us do with reference photos is we just kind of look at them and then try to paint them. Instead of just doing that, if you're struggling with your color, try printing out your reference photo. And if you don't have a printer like I have, you can go to just any place, Walmart, any place that prints photos for you, the photo booth. Print out some photos on photo paper, get some nice physical copies of your reference photo, and then just mix up some color. Just mix up some color and see if that compares to the actual photograph. And if it doesn't, try mixing the color a little bit differently until you get that color match. And then once your color is matched to your photograph, just use that color and start painting the sky, and bam, your sky is going to be the correct color. And when you get to the glow of the sun, mix up that glow of the sun color, spread it across, and see if that color is the right color. Change it appropriately, and you've got the color for that glow of the sunlight. So just printing out a physical copy of your photograph can be a tremendous help for us. And it can, over time, try that for 10 paintings. This isn't something that you have to do forever. This is something that you can do for 2 to 3, even 6 months that will set you up for the rest of your life to be able to do it like you've always wanted to, which goes back to just being able to look at something, mix the right color, and paint it. So this is just something, it's like a training wheels to get you started in the right direction, and that will just allow you to take off. Another way, and you see a lot of artists, I'm seeing a lot of professional artists doing this more and more, is getting like an iPad or a laptop, and they actually hook it up right next to their painting on the easel or where they're working at, and they have that photograph on the screen to be able to compare right back and forth to your painting. So that's another great way, using an iPad or a laptop. And look at this, an even cooler thing. You can see here, I've got the photograph opened up that I use for this painting. We can pull up the color picker, and we can just select that color of the sky, and it'll tell us exactly that color is right there. We can click the sky way up high, and we can tell that color's right there. The color in the foreground we can click, and we can tell that color's right there. It's got a little bit of blue and cyan. So that's just a great way also is, using technology, if you have the programs on your computer, to make sure that you're choosing the right color. And that is eventually going to train yourself to pick the right color at any given moment. But okay, let me just pause here, slow it down. That's kind of what I do every once in a while. These are the things that I use as aids every once in a while to make sure that I'm still on track, just to sort of double check my mind. It's just a good way to practice every once in a while. And if you want to do it all the time, I think that's all right too. Just again, just drop that ego, go for it. And you'll surprise yourself with how well you'll begin to understand color and how better you'll get at it moving forward. So I'm gonna just kind of walk you through this painting and show you what I did here, and that's exactly what I did. I had a photo, I checked the color of the sky, I checked the color of the highlight area low in the sky, of course the glow of the sun, and then the foreground. And I made sure that the mixtures of the colors that I had were correct. And then I just went ahead on my business and painted this scene. And it ended up saving me a ton of, I did this painting back here in half the time that I normally do it because I'm using these crutches. Now, I like to strive to be able to do it on my own, and I do that pretty much all the time. But this kind of brings you back to, it grounds you over and over and over again of wow, I'm not quite as good as I thought I was yet, but I'm getting there. So it helps me learn all the time as well. And I really encourage you guys, if you haven't tried that, to give it a go. So let's just quickly go through this painting, and I'm just kind of show you how I color checked it and was able to speed through this painting, really just breeze through it. So let's get to it. So to get started here, I mixed the color high up in the sky, and then I also mixed that lighter blue down lower in the sky, and I got both of those tones of color on. And then I mixed the third color, which is sort of that pinkish color in the clouds, and I went ahead and got a few clouds on there just so I could look at it all together and see how that's going for me. And then I blended those two colors of blue together. Now, right away, I could tell that my color was off when I held the reference photo up to the actual painting. So I mixed more of a saturated blue, just a bit more of a royal blue. And so this is the reason why I like using oils over acrylics, because this acrylic portion allows me to make adjustments and experiment with different colors very quickly. So once I got that correct color of blue in the sky, I went back down lower in the sky, and I've just begun to add more white and painted on that lower portion of the sky, the brighter part. After that, I took that pink glowing sun color, which was pretty easy to mix, and I matched it to my reference photo and just laid it on, blocked it in. I then went back to that pinkish color I have in the clouds and just blocked in the rest of the clouds that I wanted into the sky. And so here's the second time that I had to color check myself. When we get lower into the sky, the clouds get a bit darker. So you'll see me apply 2 or 3 different colors. I was going back to the reference photo, making sure it was the correct shade, and then I moved forward with laying that in the lower part of the sky. So that's the second time that the reference photo kind of checked me there. After that, it was just a matter of mixing some solid tones down in the foreground. Those are pretty easy to match to the reference, so that went fairly smoothly. But again, when I got to those fields way down low in the valley, I had to check myself again. And you see me lay down a first color, which I thought was correct. And normally if I hadn't been using this method to kind of check myself, I probably would have struggled a little bit or even gone with it anyways, and then find out later it was the wrong color. So I laid a color on and it seemed too dark to me, but I wasn't really sure. I checked it with the reference photo. I realized, it was too dark. I lightened it up, and then I lightened it up a third time, or a second time actually. And at that point, the color matched the reference photo. It looked good on the painting, and then I continued just adding those fields down low in the valley. Okay, so you see the painting kind of switch here, and I'm now adding what I consider to be the second major layer of acrylics. And the reason I add this second layer is just to smooth things out. So you'll see me test some darker colors with the clouds. I wasn't sure if I wanted to darken those clouds up high in the sky, but quickly you saw me lighten them back up. But beyond that, this second layer of paint is really just to smooth things out. I'm not changing the colors at all. In fact, I know that the colors I have, because I checked them with the reference photo, that physical copy, I know that those colors I have are 100% accurate to what I want them to be. So I don't need to worry about changing color or mixing color at this point. I just simply match the color that's already on the canvas and just try to blend it out a little bit more using my favorite round blender brush. And after all of that's done, I do add a little bit of sagebrush down low in the foreground by just lightening up some of that color in the foreground, just to give the indication of some foreground details. Then once that's completed, I go back up to the sky, and this is now the oil portion of the sky. So this is when I really can smooth things out, bring out a lot of luminosity, a lot of depth to the painting with those oil paints. But you'll see that throughout this entire oil process, and I've kind of time-lapsed this because this video is starting to get a bit lengthy, you can see that the colors never change from what's underneath. From acrylic to oils, those colors are precisely the same. I'm just blending it out more and making it look just a little more buttery and pleasing to the eye. But by having those colors established early on right away, I'm able to just power through this whole oil portion of the painting. And the oils actually didn't take me much time at all. I actually took less time with the oils than I did with the acrylics. That's how much that getting those colors correctly in the beginning helped me with this. Now, when it came to adding the coyote itself, I used the same process that I used in some of the past videos, which I show you how to transfer drawings to the canvas. So I'll have those linked in the description below, how to add wildlife and things like that to your painting. Once that was all completed though, I just added some finer details to the foreground using a small round brush, just some highlights to that sagebrush, maybe a couple darker shadows, and really that was it. Then the finished painting for me just came out beautifully, and the fact that I was able to do this over the course of just 2 or 3 days was such a confidence booster for myself as an artist. It gives me this rush of motivation to get started on the next piece. It gives me more confidence in my color mixing ability, and I just get this rush of emotions to just attack the next painting. So anyways, it just reminds me of how important it is to train ourselves as artists. You don't always have to go out and paint some great masterpiece every time you step in front of the easel. It takes practice, it takes training. Use the tools that you have to your knowledge. I hope that this provided you guys with maybe a little inspiration to try something different yourself, some new ideas, or just, you know, some motivation to give, or some encouragement to give this method a try. And I think you'll find that over time, it'll really help improve yourself as an artist. You'll get on that right path of becoming a better artist. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's something that I've been thinking about over the past few weeks, and I wanted to share it with you. I think it could help some people out there. But if you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. I'm still working on this larger deer painting over here, so that's going to be coming out very soon. And I'll have a lot of content to share after I finish that one. So thank you guys again for watching. Until next time, I'm out.